the diamond where they play, sweeping competition every day, rounding bases, stealing dreams, ain't no stopping college teams. Let's fucking go. We own the field, golden broom, our shield revealed, sweeping up and taking names. Baseball glory is our game. Pitchers hurling, fast and wild. Fans go crazy, players riled. Bat swings hard, destiny calls. College heroes break the walls. Let's fucking go. We own the field. Golden broom, our shield revealed.
Welcome in to Season 1, Episode 1 of the Golden Broom Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Slavinsky, joined by Vandy Chris and Mr. Jeezy himself, Randy Jowers. Boys, Episode 1, how you feeling?
I feel better knowing the baseball season's close. I feel worse because Kentucky just swept us in basketball. I'm glad this is a baseball show.
No doubt, right?
Right.
Chris,
And
how'd your team do?
I mean, we took one on the chin too against the number one team in the country, but we played well. We just, when you're building a program, it takes more than 1 year, and we're headed in the right direction. But it's time for baseball.
Absolutely. So this show right here, 100% baseball. Sure, we'll get sidetracked from time to time and talk other sports occasionally. It is what it is. It happens. We'll probably interview some players from time to time, coaches, but this is a show that originally the Golden Broom started about 2 years ago, and then we changed it up a little bit. Well, now we are the Broom. It's who we always have been. We're here. We're ready to go. Basically, we're just going to do rundowns of baseball for you. We're going to talk about what we see, what we expect to see. We're going to talk about it all. Honestly, I'm pretty excited. I mean, for three guys that really don't know anything about baseball, I mean, we're making it happen.
Indeed, we don't know ball, but come listen to us anyway.
Absolutely. But no, in all seriousness, I honest to God sure think the three of us are probably some of the more knowledgeable fans in college baseball. And that's not knocking anybody that does this for a living or anything like that. We really just know ball. I mean, we've all known each other for, I'd say, at least 7 years total. I think I've known you, Randy, for about, 7 years, 5 years, 7 years, something like that?
Something like that.
So,
it just means we're getting old. Chris,
Like
Chris has been doing this thing since 87 on a dial-up modem, a rotary phone.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
Those were the days.
they were. They really were. But, this weekend, though, I mean, it's just crazy how every year it's like the season ends and it feels like it takes forever for it to get here. But in this case, I feel like it went by fast.
It went by too fast for me. As a fan of the defending, reigning national champions, I wouldn't, I want the season to start, but that just means that, now we got to defend. It was good just basking in that all off season. You guys know what that feels like. I just found out last June.
It's a pretty dang good feeling, ain't it?
It's pretty good, and being there with my daughter, it was dope. The core memories for her. She still talks about it all the time, like it was years ago, and it was only like 7 months ago.
Pretty much.
Oh man, it was good times, man. Good times. Now we got to go defend it. Now we got to start all over again.
Hey, you got a 1 in 64 chance to win.
But are you really defending it? Because nobody can take it away from you. This is an all-new team.
You got a point there.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better to say that we're defending champs than to say that everybody starts at square one.
For sure. So, Chris, I want you to go ahead and start us off tonight. Let's talk a little bit about Vanderbilt baseball.
so much talent, some really good arms. But how's it all going to piece together? You got Jonathan Vastine returning at shortstop as a senior, one of the better defensive shortstops in the country. But how's he going to do at the plate? We brought in a new hitting coach. Mike Baxter went and getting it done. Definite lack of power under his leadership there. Brought in Jason Kang, and from everything I'm hearing, the offense has been really, really good in the spring. So,
is it the offense or is it the pitching that's making the offense good?
I think that's a really good question. But when you look at guys like Kranzler and Miller Green and Thompson and those guys that are coming back that went through the grind last year when the bats weren't there, I have to feel like it's the bats are coming around.
So let me ask you a real question real quick. What is the status of Tim Corbin? Like, if Vanderbilt goes on a decline, how long is he going to last before he says, hey, that's it, I'm done?
I think that's the reason he brought in Jason King. He says he does this every year because he loves the kids. But if it starts going south, you've brought in a guy that's got 27 years of head coaching experience. You're not leaving the program in the hands of somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I could absolutely see Corbin pulling a Nick Saban, and just it's not the same game that he fell in love with, and he developed the kids, and it's different. I don't think college baseball has been hit as much as football as far as the money, but it's there, right? Like, we know guys are getting paid, and that's fine. But I think Corbin could absolutely do a Nick Saban because he's an old school guy. He's made many, many, many mentions of NIL, and he doesn't love it. And he wants to develop players. He wants you to come in as a freshman, play till you're, a junior, senior. And, more often than not, he's taken a lot of guys to Omaha that did stay that course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but now that Vanderbilt's got their money into it with all the other sports, you see football stepping it up. You see basketball stepping up, men's and women's. I mean, it's time for the baseball team to live up to what they've been, being the carriers of the athletics program over the years.
And to his credit, he used the transfer portal more this year than he ever has before. We've got 7 kids from transfer portal this year. So the idea that he's not using the portal, he's used it sparingly before, but he brought in a lot of kids this year.
I think he had to. I mean, you needed a spark. You had to start over, not just with the hitting coach with Mike Baxter. We all saw the struggles they were having there. The arms, were there. I think injuries played in it a little bit last year, but you have seen Corbin. It's a little bit. It's out of the ordinary to see Corbin go a couple years without making a World Series appearance.
Mm-hmm. And that's the worst part. The injuries the last 2 years have really devastated any chance they've had.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, so realistically, when you look at this team, I mean, what do you see the ceiling being for them?
I think the ceiling is an Omaha run.
Okay.
But I think the floor is 500.
Wow.
But, I mean, if you have a 500 floor, there's about 80% of the programs in America would like to have a 500 floor.
Well, especially in the SEC. I mean, if you're talking 500 overall, that's one thing, but 500 in the SEC gets you in the tournament. Now, last year we saw 13-win team make the tournament. Maybe they shouldn't have, and then they ended up making a run to Omaha. So, like, the talent is there, and the SEC more than ever. And this is probably not coincidental that it was NIL. It's deeper than ever. The talent is a little bit more spread out. Yeah, you still got some stacking talent. Florida's always going to be elite. LSU's always going to be elite. Tennessee's kind of getting there. Vanderbilt's always got a lot of talent, but it's just spread a lot more out. You're seeing South Carolina kind of return to what they were 10 years ago. Auburn's kind of always like, oh, nobody really talks about Auburn. Mississippi State and Ole Miss are always perennial. They've been down the last couple of years. I don't expect that to stay, but not to get us off topic, but that's another name talking about Corbin. Bianco's been there, 24 years?
Yep.
And they've really hit the decline. We think Vanderbilt's hit the decline. Ole Miss went from winning a title to not making it to not making it. I mean, that's the state of Mississippi is a baseball. I mean, they're just a constant. Duty Noble's the best stadium in the country, bar none. I don't think there's any competition there. I understand Alex Box. I've been there. It's great. But the dude is a different animal.
Alex Box is a spirit. The dude is totally different.
It is, man. But you got to start, and Vanderbilt's doing that. Tennessee's doing that. The stadium experience is where it's at. Now, what the Vanderbilt and Tennessee are not going to do is build the $14,000 millions seat stadiums. That's not what's going to happen. But what they're going to do, and you'll see this happen more and more often, the seats can shrink, but then you can put more premium seats in, because guess what's going to happen there? Corporations are going to buy it. And what's it about now? It's about money.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things they're doing is they're adding skyboxes at Vanderbilt. I think they're doing the same thing at Tennessee, right?
Yeah, they are. And the premium seats in the outfield, and you have the kind of like a VIP club section over in right field. So it's really all about the experience. And I thought, Tennessee had a great game day experience, smaller, and I know that there'll be people listening. They're like, "Oh, that little shoebox stadium," and Go to a game there when your team goes there and just see the atmosphere. I mean, Tony Vitello describes it perfectly. It's like a hornet's nest. The people are on top of you at home plate. I mean, it's an experience.
Absolutely.
And to Tony's credit, he's built that, because when he took over there, you couldn't put 200 people in that stadium.
So shout out to In Off the Bench podcast, Jim Cross, Daniel Ball, my boys. We interviewed Tony Vitello several years ago, and he said that he looked around his first game coaching at Tennessee and he could count the people in the stands. Count them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask him if it was on one hand or not. But I mean, he has absolutely built that. No different than if you look at, Ole Miss, Bianco, Corbin, those guys have built that. Jay Johnson definitely didn't build LSU, but that's not his fault. Skip Bertman built it.
Right.
Absolutely. Skip is the man. Good Lord. I actually met Skip Bertman a few years ago. He was they were like honoring the legends at the SEC tournament. And so they said Skip was going to be over signing autographs. So I was like, obviously I'm going to go to that. And I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time. It was before I met my wife. And
you didn't have a girlfriend before your wife.
I mean, it was this random girl that happened to be at the game. She just happened to follow me over to this area. But no, we get over there and Skip's sitting up, they have like this little stand-up table, and no one is there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I walk up to him. I talked to him for like 45 minutes. Straight up just conversation. He did. He loved every bit of it. And the cool thing was, I was able to talk to him because when I was a little kid, me and my dad went to the tournament, and after LSU had played, they had like the little tunnel they were walking up to go out, and Skip came up and gave me a little high five, and I was like 7, 8 years old. Gave me a high five and just like talked to me and all that. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. And but so we talked about that, and he was just such a nice guy. So I got a picture with him and all that. It was awesome. But love me some Skip Bertman always. But speaking of Skip, let's talk a little bit about LSU. I have made a claim to you guys, and I will let the world hear it and see what they say, because I'm sure everybody's going to disagree. I think 2025 LSU can be better than 2023 LSU. And I know that's a lot to say. It is, because you're thinking of a Dylan Cruz, a Trey Morgan, a Paul Skeens. I mean, the list goes on. Tons of good talent from that team. I mean, some that potentially could become Hall of Famers in the pros one day. You never know. That said, the reason I am so high on this team is not because of individual people that stick out like those guys, but more because of the level of depth that is there. And when I'm talking about the level of depth they have, this is a team that literally could line up 3 separate lineups and compete in the SEC. That's how much talent they have. And, I mean, it scares me when I look at this lineup. And so I went through and I ran some numbers. And I took every player that's on this squad. I took all their college stats from their most recent season they played, and I put them together. And offensively, they put up better numbers than what 2023 did. And I know, obviously, that a lot of these transfers coming in, while they had good numbers at their previous schools, they're probably not going to translate all the same way. I get that.
Yeah.
But the fact that to know the possibilities there, that excites me. You have a guy coming in, Luis Hernandez, who is going to be the catcher at LSU this year. He is more than likely won the battle. And they're saying that because, I mean, he caught a few games at Indiana State. He was not their full-time catcher, but his bat was just amazing. Well, he's come in and he has improved defensively. He's very much respected. He's won the trust of the team, and his bat is electric. You have Jake Brown, who is a sophomore this year, who literally had 7 straight hits over the weekend, including 2 home runs. He's on fire right now. More than likely is locked up an outfield spot. But this team, for some reason, is set up in a way where I cannot predict the starting 9. I have tried, and I cannot figure out what Jay's going to do because he has that many dudes. It was announced, though, Stephen Milam is officially the shortstop. Michael Braswell is going to third, and Danny Dickinson is going to be the starting second baseman. I like that. Obviously, Bear Jones at first. So,
well, of course. Let me ask you this, though. So with Jay Jones, it's never, to me, been about the talent, right? Because he had a great run. But some of the pitching decisions that he made in 2022, in 2024, like I think that's where – he's lost a little bit of the trust of some LSU fans and maybe just me watching. It's almost like he tries to get analytical, or sometimes it's just a feel thing, right? Like that's where the best coaches come in. It's just a straight up feel. Like Tim Corbin's off the field. Tony Vitello, we've seen that a million times. He'll yank a dude out after one pitch if he's just not seeing it. And I think Jay just tries to get a little too cute sometimes. It was different with Skeens because you ain't pulling that cat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this year we're going to see a different approach in that standpoint. I think that Nate Yeske is going to have more of a releasing of the leash per se. I think last year it was kind of a, hey, I know these guys better than you do, so we're going to kind of do it this way. I think now it's more of Yeske really knows these guys, and they have more depth with their pitching than they did the previous years. They had a lot of guys that were injured the last couple of years, that it's made it where you've had to piece around it and just kind of put it together to get through it. But this season, everybody's healthy, and you have, I'd say, probably 5 or 6 guys that can start for you. So you'll have probably 3 guys rotate as your midweek starter because that's just how it is. But it looks like that Cade Anderson, left-handed pitcher, he is going to be our Friday night guy. And then Chase Shores is going to probably go Saturday. And then I'm not sure about Sunday yet because Anthony Ianson, he's the transfer that came in, and he actually has been sick. So I'm not sure if by him missing time over this previous weekend sets him back any. But that was looking like he would be a weekend guy because, I mean, for God's sakes, the guy threw 80 innings last year, and, he was fantastic. So, I mean, he's a guy that he – has to be a starter because he throws a lot of strikes. But I think that a guy that we interviewed recently, William Schmidt, he got tagged a little bit over the weekend actually, and which is not a bad thing because, I mean, obviously I'd rather you get tagged prepping for the season versus looking like an all-star and then get into the season and then get tagged up. So take those lumps. Obviously it was like Bear Jones hitting a home run off of him. Okay,
well, that's
going to happen. Yes.
Right.
So, but he's looked at as a extended reliever, potential midweek starter right now. But he is a guy that Jay's basically said with his talent level, he is one that will work into a weekend spot. Whether it's this season or next, it will happen. Gavin Guidry, another guy that, historically everybody knows him very well. He was known as our closer. Well, after last season, he prepped to be a starter. And I think he's going to be looked at in a long-term reliever role this year. And I'm very excited to see what he does. And this may sound crazy, but true freshman Maverick Rizzi, he's like 6'10", huge. And he's looking like he might be our closer this year.
So my question would be, you see it happen at Arkansas every year where they generally lose a starting pitcher to an arm injury. You've seen it happen at Vanderbilt the last 2 years where a starting pitcher gets hurt. Chris McIlvain with the back injury, couple guys with arm injuries that go down. What happens if you lose a couple pitchers to an injury? Doesn't have to be an arm. It could be a hamstring or something or a stomach muscle. What happens if that goes down? Where do you turn?
At this point, it's next man up.
Freshman.
Yeah.
Freshman. Yeah.
I mean, you have no choice at that point, which, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, though, if you suffer injuries early and they're not like season ending, that's not always a bad thing because you can get your freshmen some innings. By all means, do it while you can. And I mean, when I don't know, it's like when I'm looking at the conference as a whole, though, like this may sound crazy, but I feel like pitching depth might be some of the deepest we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that's
Probably
fair.
not wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I mean, there's arms everywhere.
Yeah. So speaking of arms everywhere, Randy, it's the ball's in your court now. Let me hear about Tennessee.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you guys that Tennessee is the defending national championship. Yeah. Anyways, so obviously, you lost a lot of players off the Tennessee team, and there's guys that of course say like, oh well, they lost too many guys, they can't compete. And I just want to remind them that 2022 Tennessee was probably the best team. And Chris and I had heated debates about this because he told me that 2023 they can't be as good. They're losing 8 of their 9, and then they were really good. And then 2024 they backed that up with a title because you had young guys that got in there. Like Christian Moore was a freshman who really pinch ran on the 2022 team, but all of a sudden he steps up in a big way. So I think that what you've seen Tony do, he'll bring in transfers like Chris talked about it, Corbin doing it sparingly. Tony's really done the same thing. Now he's brought in some big bats, and you are losing Billy Amick. You're losing obviously Big Blake Burke, you're losing Christian Moore, you're losing Kavares Tears, and I get all that. But what they have built, Tony, Frank Anderson, Elander, all those guys have built a culture. And look at a guy that started last year who was never expected to start was Dean Curley. Ended up, obviously, they win the World Series. He played great. He goes to play for Team USA, turned a lot of heads. He's shooting up the MLB draft boards. And you just look at his body, like, and he's a big kid, hits for power, doesn't strike out, an overly amount. But they, brought in some guys like Gavin Killen, the 2-hole hitter, high contact, low strikeout kind of guy, right? Andrew Fisher also coming in. So, I mean, they got a lot of talent that's coming in, and they do got some returning guys like Marcus Phillips. He was tabbed, I think, yesterday to be the Saturday starter. We saw that guy last year. He's electric. I don't want to compare anybody to Chase Burns because that whole thing ended sourly. But when I compare him, I'm just talking about the electricity when he comes in, the energy, and it fires the team up. And I think that comes down, from the coaching staff. Not as much Frank Anderson, but Tony and the guys. And you are bringing back, some guys that are definitely going to matter. And maybe the best name in the SEC, Stone Lawless, as a catcher.
That's pretty good name.
So, yeah, right. Stone Law. And then you still got, Cannon Peebles obviously coming in. You got some. What I think is bigger than the names is the culture on what they built, because Tony's been doing this since 2017, right? Was the year he came in. So when I hear people say that he lost a lot of guys, all I'm saying is buckle up, because I'm not saying they're going to repeat. That's really hard to do. But what I am saying is I expect him to be in Omaha, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But this team is really talented, and they got a lot of freshmen. They've had a top 3 recruiting class, I think 3 of the last 4 years. So the talent is there.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned Marcus Phillips. A lot of people don't remember. He actually pitched in Omaha, and that dude was throwing absolute darts and
fireballs.
Picked that team up, like put them on his shoulders and said, "Hey, we're not done here. We're still playing."
Yeah, and they looked done. I mean, the body language was bad. That's what I mean with the electricity. I think you're right. His mentality brought them back to where they were competitive in that game, and it meant, I mean, obviously so much, but I mean, you're going to have some veterans. Look, we are like Cody. We're going to be relying on some true freshmen in some big spots, but we did that last year too with Dean Curley, and that worked out pretty good. He had some humongous spots in Omaha all the way to the tournament. So I don't have any concern, with leaning on the younger guys, because I think that they've proven as a staff that they can develop those guys and have them ready for the moment.
Absolutely. And I really like this Tennessee team too, because I mean, you talk about Andrew Fisher coming in. A lot of people may not recognize the name because, I mean, Ole Miss has been pretty down, but that kid's got some power.
Absolutely. I think he's going to start at first base because he's got a little injury, but I mean, I think you'll see him at third.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know you have Alberto Osuna, who just transferred in, technically from University of Tampa, because he transferred there first.
He's not
And
eligible
literally,
yet.
yeah, I was going to say, so he's not eligible, but he's already turning heads,
Oh yeah,
and
in the
which is a good
scrimmage he was
thing.
dropping bombs.
I mean, it's
And
crazy too, because literally, I kid you not, I was talking to Chris because University of Tampa was coming to town to play University of Montebello, and I live, 2 minutes down the road from there. So I was like, I'm gonna go see him this weekend. Kind of excited to see Alberto Osuna because he was at UNC last year. It's gonna be awesome. And then literally, not even 12 hours later, I'm like, dude, he's going to Tennessee.
Thank you,
So,
Diego Pavia.
yeah,
I was fixing to say you can thank Diego for that one.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm wondering though, like, what is it that's holding up his eligibility right now?
I think it was the timing because it was so late, like you talked about, like he was already with Tampa, so it's timing. I think they kind of ran into that with Ahuna. That was a little bit different. Before you get on me,
Yeah.
Chris, it was a little bit different. There was an airplane that we weren't sure where it came from, but I think it's a timing thing. I don't. From what I understand, they don't have any risk that he's not going to play. One more name that I didn't mention. People, I know you guys remember, AJ Russell was our Friday night guy last year before he got hurt. Dealt with several injuries. He will be back this season, but it won't be till late in the year, like the end of the season, regular season before the SEC. So I hate that he won't be able to play during the regular season. However, bringing back a guy that was a Friday night guy at the end of the season with all of that, yes, Terry Walker, your comments are coming through. With all of that experience and the talent, right? I mean, I saw him in Omaha when me and my daughter were having dinner one night, and he was in there and had his cast on. You hate to see that for any kid, but Tommy John, as we know this day and age, it's not a matter, of if, it's when. Some guys are having 2 and 3, so I hope that he can get healthy, stay healthy, and pitch a long, long time in the pros.
When exactly did his injury happen?
So I think his injury happened early in the season, but I don't think it was a full-blown Tommy John. And then he tried to come back and pitch out of it. Just never really looked comfortable. It just had some, it was uncomfortable in his arm. So they shut him down. What was that? Probably right before the SEC tournament, because he kept trying to come back 2 or 3 different times, and he would pitch a few innings and just didn't look great. But like I said, bringing a guy like that back with the stones that he has, because if you guys remember 2 years ago, they went to Arkansas. He got thrown into the Friday night spot as a freshman, and that kid was nails. Nails.
Absolutely.
So the talent is there. So, like I said, having him come back at the end of the year could be massive if true.
Yeah. Now, I will say, too, though, that is a risk for him to come back that soon, only because Chase Shores, for example, at LSU, he had Tommy John surgery. And the crazy thing about his is he was pitching through a 97-mile-an-hour fastball to end the inning and goes in the locker or in the dugout and it's like, my elbow doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And coach is like, you sure? He's like, you
just
threw 97 out there.
100.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I just don't feel right. So he took him out. And then the next day they found out he's getting Tommy John's. And his mind was blown about it because he didn't have no signs to show that he was hurt. He's like, he literally, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he told him, he's like, yeah, it was hurting for a few pitches, but right now it's just kind of, they don't feel right. And he was actually tabbed to come back in the, so had LSU made it out of the North Carolina regional last year, he would have actually come back for the Super. So maybe Russell will be ready, but I just hope that he doesn't rush himself back. Because I know that can be tad iffy.
With a guy like AJ Russell, like Randy said, you getting him back late in the season like that gives you an extra arm.
Absolutely.
Going into Hoover to eat up a few innings. And then once postseason starts, you know, that's an extra arm that's available that is high leverage.
Absolutely.
Terry's got a good point, Chris. Your background is football.
So there is a baseball.
There is a baseball.
Just off to the side, and being the little pitcher in the middle, it doesn't show it.
And then we got to talk about this pilot episode. He's got a cheeseburger dog, all beef patty stick, stuffed with American cheese, topped with dill relish on a pretzel hot dog bun. You know what that sounds like to me, boys? I would eat it, and then my body would hate me. I would have indigestion for 3 days.
Yes.
Yeah, my gallbladder would start screaming at me, but yeah.
Yeah, but I like your idea, Terry. I like it.
And then for those who partake, the ice cold brewski to go along with it.
Absolutely. Can't turn that down. That is always my favorite part of the show is when Terry gives us his burger or now dog of the week
with a brown mustard.
Okay,
So let me ask you this,
I'm all for
Terry.
it.
This was always a question on the other podcast that I did and off the bench. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I think it is.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. So I'm outnumbered here.
I mean,
well, if it's on a bun, it's a sandwich. If it's not on a bun, it's not a sandwich.
What are you, a communist? You eat hot dogs just willy-nilly without a bun?
If you ain't got a bun, just throw a piece of bread on it. And if you ain't got no bread or bun, just throw it on the plate, put some cheese
Terry
on
and I
it.
lied. He said it's not a sandwich, and it's not. Jim Cross, if you're listening, it's still not a sandwich.
Well, so the way that I used to eat hot dogs when I was younger is I would take like some French bread and I'd put like 3 hot dogs on it though.
How fat were you as a kid?
I actually was not fat. I'm like the same size as I was then. I have a very fast metabolism apparently because I should be fat. So I would have made a great stoner back in the day the way I used to eat. My God.
Who had French bread, man? This is a privilege, Chris. I tell you what.
I'm
I
telling
didn't
you.
know y'all
It's
had
$1 a
French
loaf.
bread in Alabama.
It's literally $1 a loaf at the store.
$1.
I didn't know they had that kind of culture in Alabama to have French bread.
Yeah, French bread. Oui.
Trust me, no culture here. Well, I take that back. Actually, the Birmingham restaurant scene is like booming right now with some really good restaurants. It is. I'm very impressed.
The traffic still sucks. Everybody's got to go.
I don't
eat
recommend.
Nobody can move.
Yeah, no recommendation to come to Birmingham at all. But their food game is
coming through my city.
Yes.
If you don't have a beefaroo yet, you still got a ways to go.
Yeah, we ain't got one of those.
Terry's right. Sandwiches have 2 slices of bread. A hot dog is 1 piece until it's broken. I agree, Terry. I agree. Bubba Bryant, what's up, man?
I mean, my kids, when they eat their hot dogs, their bun always breaks at the bottom. So, I mean, technically, they're eating a sandwich.
Oh, 100%. Are you relish guys?
It depends on my mood, but yeah, I like relish.
I like relish.
I'm a relish guy. You guys ever go up to Cincinnati and get the Skyline chili dogs?
I hate Skyline chili.
I do too. Who doesn't have beans in their chili? What in the
right? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. On a hot dog, I'm okay with beanless chili. I am. I just don't like the taste of their chili.
It's like water chili.
Yeah.
Water chili. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Something
you gotta have
SEC
the beans,
tournament,
right?
And it was these. Am I cutting out again? Man, I hate this internet with this rain. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Alabama.
Anyway, they had these chili cheese dog nachos, and let me tell you something. That was amazing. Okay. It wasn't amazing the next day, but it was amazing when I was eating it, to say the least.
What type of beans do you put in your chili? Pinto
chili beans.
Bro. Chili beans, of course.
Yes. I mean, realistically, though, just give me a hot dog with mustard on it, and I'm good. Maybe some onions as well.
For sure. I can do with or without the chili, but definitely mustard, relish, I'm all good. Yeah. I just can't eat hot dogs like I used to because, when you turn 40, it don't happen.
Absolutely.
See, I'm waiting on Randy to come up to a Tennessee Vandy baseball game in Nashville so he can get one of them daddy's dogs.
Y'all have daddy dogs. Did y'all name them after our hat?
No, not after your hat.
Or did we name our hat after your dog?
But it is a restaurant in Nashville called Daddy's Dogs.
I'm in Nashville like a couple times a month. I've never heard of it. I'll check it out.
Speaking of Nashville, Kentucky's actually going down in Nashville this weekend to play Lipscomb.
I would not be surprised at all if Lipscomb stole at least one.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
I mean, Kentucky's one of those teams, though. I mean, each year you don't know what you're getting out of them because they have so many new guys on their team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
and Chris said it in the chat earlier. They had a really older for college baseball, older team, experienced team. You lose a lot of that. It takes away now with the way that he coaches and the squeeze and the bases loaded. I mean, he's going to win some games, but I still think that the talent level. I mean, great on him for making Omaha. But the talent level still not at the rate that you need to be a consistent contender, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. Nate, shut your mouth. Just stop before you know.
And you want to talk about a coach that uses a transfer portal a lot?
Oh my God, it's like 30 guys a year.
Yeah, and they lost so much off of that team last year, and so many new guys, and half of the portal class got drafted too.
Yeah,
I feel like they're going to struggle.
I do too, but shout out to him. Good coach, good man, leader of men, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the end of the day. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes, and then we'll see if you got him there, Mingione. Did Cody freeze again?
Pastrami and mustard.
Jeez, my internet is terrible tonight. I apologize. My God.
I think we got to
Hey,
move
so
right
since we're talking about some coaches,
yeah, let's move right into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I was about to say let's do our coaches rankings. So I made graphics for each of our rankings. Basically, I guess we'll just go through mine first since it's already on the screen. But obviously, Tony Vitello gets number one. And the reason he's number one is not just because he won a national championship, but everything he's done since he's gotten to Tennessee, it's literally been nothing but uphill. And it's not just a wins-loss thing. It's more of a fan support, recruiting. I mean, everything you could possibly do, Vitello has done it, and it's amazing. So that's why he's number one.
Hold on one second, Cody. I do want to say that when we agreed to do this, we only went back 5 years. Like D1 did 10 years. We were talking like 5 years. So if everybody's seeing this, like, how do you put Tony in front of, Kevin Sullivan, even though he's only got one, but in front of Tim Corbin, that's why we went 5 years.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And another thing too, I want to say, like when I have Michael Early at number 15, it is not a knock at him by any stretch, because I think Texas A&M is going to be fantastic this year. I think he's going to do a great job.
Agreed.
But he has 0 head coaching experience, so he gets put at the bottom. And
Agreed.
No offense to Carrick Jackson, but it's just
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. So, and then I put Paul Maneri down there at 14 because he hadn't coached in a few years. And I don't know what he's got in the NIL era. Is he able to even, connect with these kids? Because it's not the same as it used to be. Mm-hmm. So we will see with that. Rob Vaughn, I didn't want to put him that low because actually I coach him at Bama.
Freeze again.
Good Lord, this internet's terrible. I froze again. It's ridiculous. But anyway, as you see, Vitello, Johnson, O'Sullivan, Schlossnagel, Corbin, Van Horn, Mingione, Skip Johnson, Chris Lemonis, Mike Bianco, Butch Thompson, Wes Johnson, and the rest we've already talked about. So that is my list. You can hate it, you can love it. I really don't care. But that's who I got. So let's go to Chris's list. This also very similar, but Chris, go ahead.
So obviously, I'm the resident Tennessee hater, but I have to put respect on what Tony's done the last 5 years at Tennessee. Absolutely. Let's be real, he inherited a literal dumpster fire. Yeah. And what he's done with that program is off the charts. Jay Johnson, yes, I'm looking back at what he did at Arizona a little bit. Mm-hmm. Combined with what he's done at LSU, I have to respect that. He took over a legendary program and he's taken it up a step.
Yes.
I got Tim Corbin at 3. That sounds like it might be a little homerish, but going back 5 years, if you look what he's done, national championship 2019. National runners-up in 2021. So you've got, always in the top 10 and the longest running NCAA regional streak in America. I have to put him at 3.
Sure.
O'Sullivan, he's working on it. If they can get to Omaha again, that's going to be 3 straight years getting to Omaha. The reason I put him behind Tim is he hadn't won a title. Yes, he does have a runner-up. Schlossnagel at 5. What he's done at Texas A&M, what he did at Texas A&M is fantastic. took over a mid-tier program in the SEC and made them elite. And he used transfer portal to get some guys in there to bring the pitching along, recruited some stand-up ball players. I have to respect it.
For sure.
Now is where I start running into some stuff. Dave Van Horn, yes, he gets to Omaha just about every year. Yes, he's always a threat in the SEC to win the SEC championship. But the problem for me is every year they lose a starting pitcher to injury.
Mm-hmm.
Every year they have a definite lack of power in their lineup. They can smack the crap out of some doubles, but they don't hit very many home runs.
I mean, let's be real. He's the best coach in the country at letting his team down or his fan base down.
Yes.
Mm.
Lamonis, yes, they won the national title in 2021, dropped off a little bit, but you see them starting to come back. They were a solid team last year.
They have a really good starting rotation, actually, this year. I'm pretty excited to see that. I'm not even going to lie.
I got Bianco there at 8. Again, national title, but he's trending backwards.
Big time.
Not been to the postseason since then. So you're seeing him trend backwards now. I put Wes Johnson at 9. What he did in his first year at Georgia, absolutely incredible. And you hear a lot of people talking about Georgia's that sneaky pick out of the SEC to contend for the SEC championship and make an Omaha run. That's what Georgia was in 2008, getting to the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Getting them back to that level, I think he's done a fantastic job. Butch Thompson, yes, last year they were very bad last year. But previously, they were making Omaha runs like clockwork, getting there. So I put him ahead of Mangione, Skip Johnson. Again, Oklahoma, you go to the College World Series finals, and then you drop off, and then you really haven't shown anything since then. They were better last year. We'll see what happens in the SEC. For me, Rob Vaughn, they put expectations on Alabama, and they faltered. When they don't have expectations, they're really good. I can't put my finger on it. And the rest are self-explanatory. Paul, again, he's been out of coaching for a while. How is he going to mesh with the new NIL era? Michael Early, just because he hasn't been a head coach before. Carrick Jackson, he did some good things at Memphis, but this ain't Memphis anymore. This is Missouri, and you're trying to build a program and pick it up off the ground.
That's fair. Well, let's go to Randy's. Let's see what he's got.
Shocker. Tony Vitello, number 1. And again, the 5-year thing. If you went back 10 years, this list would probably look a lot different. But Tony, number 1, just from what he's built, we said all that. Jay Johnson, that's self-explanatory. Kevin O'Sullivan, as much as I dislike the Florida Gators, he, like Chris said, he's got a chance to go to 3 straight Omahas last year. Should they have gotten in? Probably not. But when they did get the opportunity, they made Omaha. The year before that, they ran into a Paul Skeens LSU team that just happened to hit the cover off the ball that whole series. Schloss, no matter what I think about him as a coach, I think the way that he left A&M was a travesty. But what he built them to, and I want to say one more thing about his character. When a coach leaves like that in modern day NIL transfer portal, his best players go with him. Guess what did not happen to Schloss? They did not go with him. They stayed and they rallied. They wanted Michael Early. So Schloss, good coach. Results speak for themselves. But Dave Van Horn, I got him at 5 just because of the consistency. And I hear everything you're saying. The letdowns and it's so hard. It's so hard to win, man. I got Tim Corbin at 6, and that's only for 5. If we went to the 10, Tim Corbin's probably number 1, number 2. If we're being honest.
Sure. Yeah.
But Lamonis and Bianco, I have them there at 7 and 8, almost more like a courtesy. I think both of those guys, especially Bianco, he's built that program into what it is. I think people kind of forget that Ole Miss baseball, it really is him. I know he didn't play there, but he built that program into what it is. Won a title there, fell off the map. The next one, Mingione, and I say this, but he's only in my top 10 because he's done more with less. Like, he doesn't have the talent level that anybody above him does, and some below him, and he still made Omaha for the first time in their school's history. Butch Thompson, Skip Johnson, those are kind of self-explanatory. Wes Johnson is a guy that I can see absolutely flying up this over the next 5 years. Georgia is super talented. Rob Vaughn, just not, like you guys said it already, right? What are you going to do? Like, this is kind of a make or break, not year, but a make or break era for him as a coach. Paul Maneri, look, the guy is, really good coach at LSU. I'm glad we could retire him. And then he said, I don't want to be retired. I want to come back. So now we're going to have to retire him again. Michael Early, only 15 because he's new, because his players absolutely championed for him to be that guy. And Carrick Jackson, look, I actually, him and Tony Vitello are tight. They're friends. He was at Memphis, did a lot for this program, didn't stay long enough. And this is not a knock on Carrick at all, because I think he's a good coach, good man, good baseball guy. But it is so tough in the SEC, and Missouri, to me, is just like, there's a big difference between the 15 and the 16.
Yeah. And that's a shame too, because let's be real. 15 of the 16 teams in the conference are tournament quality teams.
100%.
And we may be wrong. Hey, Missouri might be better than we're giving them credit for right now. Doubt it, but they might be.
So let's put some perspective on Tony Vitello and Carrick Jackson. Okay. Tony Vitello played at Missouri. The type of program Missouri is, they didn't even want to interview him as a coach before he went to Tennessee.
That's true.
Yeah.
So when he went to Tennessee, he inherited a program that's a mirror image of what Missouri is today.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And you see what he's done with it. I think Carrick is a great coach and a great person. He's just fighting he's fighting molehills.
He is, and I'm going to ask you this, Chris. Do you think that he has because what Tennessee has done is put their money where their mouth is when it comes to baseball. Now, they had to see some return on that in the beginning, but is Missouri doing enough when it comes to their baseball program?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
You got a program that was in the College World Series. They're one of the programs in the SEC that's made it once.
Mm-hmm.
Why does your program look like this? Invest in it.
I think this is the season where they're going to realize that they have no choice at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because, let's be real. If you don't put a little bit into it, your program ain't going to bring in any revenue whatsoever. The fans are only going to keep coming to the games for so long with a team failing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's do or die for Missouri baseball right now. Not that they can't ever be good again, but they realistically need to take it serious right now, or the next few seasons are going to be long.
So if I'm Carrick Jackson, I'm going to identify one program in the SEC. I don't care if it's Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, Ole Miss. I'm going to identify somebody and say, this is where I'm going to go. This is the team I'm going to beat. I'm going to start beating this team on a regular basis, whether they like it or not. And once you get it going in that direction, I think you'll be all right.
Well, and this isn't a knock at you, but that's exactly what Tony Vitello did to Vanderbilt. He was like,
exactly what he did.
I'm going to beat that team.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of Tony Vitello, let's pull this graphic up real quick. Let's talk about the Tony V effect.
Let's run this through, boys. Almost 300 wins since he's been there. Natty, 350 win seasons. And my favorite part, the record versus Vanderbilt, 13-8. Record versus State of Tennessee, 44-18. We own this state right here. Record versus Vandy since NIL. Shout out to Cody for pulling this up. 10-2. Chris, where y'all money at? Put your money up. Let's go Slips.
Now, one thing I need to say too, though, about the record versus the State of Tennessee. most of those losses happened in his first 3 seasons.
Oh,
because since then he's really had it locked down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know you got a rebuttal.
Oh, well, the record with NIL, part of that has been luck. A lot of it has been Vanderbilt used to get a lot of their pitchers from the Knoxville area, like Farragut, Knoxville Catholic, schools like that.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't coming to Nashville anymore. They're staying home, which used to be not the case.
True.
So that's part of it. And there's also some luck in there. You know, as Randy remembers, the Kavares Tears home run. I mean,
that luck?
He took that thing off his shoelaces to win a game in the 9th inning that Vanderbilt thought they
maybe
had
I'm the
won.
lucky charm. I was there.
You might be.
Yeah.
You might be. You know, and it's a game like that where you take a gut punch like that in the 9th inning that compounded itself the next day with the 17-0 score.
Man.
So some of it's been luck. Some of it's just been you're just more talented in some area. You know,
injuries too, like that, no doubt. Injuries played into that a little bit the last couple of years.
So, I get it. I think it's a little bit skewed because, you know, yeah, they had some really good teams at the same time where Vanderbilt was dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, look, we get to kick it off again, you know, real soon.
Yeah,
absolutely. But yeah. Tony V, he's the man. There's no doubt about it.
That's good stuff.
That's good stuff. Shout out Cody, the graphic maker.
I love doing it, man. It's so much fun. But we're not done yet with some graphics. So a quick rundown, because we've got just a couple more minutes left before we head out of here. But there's one thing about the Golden Broom that when we started in college baseball smack, one thing that we like to do was give out awards. And every week you have your best team of the week. That's the Golden Broom Award winner, hence the name, the Golden Broom Podcast. This award has had some crazy names on there. I mean, we used to go through and we would pick teams that you would probably never even heard of to put them on there because they just happen to have a good weekend. Like it could be any team. Just because you're ranked and you go undefeated doesn't mean you're going to win it. I mean, it could be any team. You have to win all your games for the week. It's how it is. We also have the heat streak. Chris, tell us about the heat streak.
The heat streak is if you have won 12 consecutive games, we're going to put you on a heat streak and give you a graphic that says, hey, you better take notice of this team because they've gotten hot.
And let's be real, that's been a very mid-major dominated award over the years.
And everybody that's listening to this show, if you haven't caught on, if you never listened to Chris before, he is a mid-major lover.
Big time.
We
will share the 11.7 rankings a lot.
In fact, one of the other, you mentioned the Golden Broom Award. At one time, Boise State won that thing. Boise State, that doesn't have a baseball program today, actually won the Golden Broom because they spent years without a team. They get a team together, and their first weekend back, they go 4-0. That was pretty impressive. Well, then COVID hit, and they shut the program down again.
Did the baseball team have blue turf? No. That's why they shut down.
That might be. You're back, Cody.
Right,
I see
so
you.
Our last award. I'm about to say I'm back. I think I'm back. It's like when it cuts out, I hear you, but your voice like speeds up to catch up with it. It's very weird. But the last award, my favorite award right here, the Dirty Jock Strap Award for the team that just stunk it up for the week. I love that award more than anything because the trophy that I've created for that is literally a dirty jock strap on a trophy base. It looks amazing. I love it. I've used the same one over the years because I was trying to redesign these awards. This is the only one that I didn't actually redesign this year because I like it so much.
Don't mess with perfection.
Exactly. You can't do it. You just can't do it. But that being said, if you're watching this show and you like college baseball, go join our group, College Baseball Smack. This group's been going for over 10 years now. has some very knowledgeable names. Former players, former coaches are in there. I mean, if you want a place just to talk smack to other people, just come on. Don't do no personal family attacks in there, but just come talk ball.
No, we will boot you for that.
That is true.
Golden broom, golden boot, whatever it is, you're out if you do any personal attacks. But come in there and tell Chris how bad Vanderbilt is. Tell Chris all about their. Hey, is our boy Cole? What's his name?
Dwayne Coley.
Dwayne Coley, our LSU, our resident LSU, just fanatic.
Yes, he's fun.
We got to get him on the show.
Be entertained,
or
definitely.
Or get me and Hal going at each other.
Oh man, I forgot about Hal.
If don't read their comments to each other with your children present though.
It's true.
It
I'm
gets
pretty
a little
sure.
bit lit.
Just call me crazy if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that Hal is Nate Gladwell's burner account. Could be wrong, but you know,
It could be.
Very well could be.
While you're joining our baseball group, if you don't mind, go to the Golden Broom Podcast Facebook page. Give us a like and a follow. That helps us get our metrics up there where we can go live on that page as well.
Absolutely. We got to get to 100. We just started it the other day. We're at like 61 now. I hadn't really shared it a lot yet, but definitely give us a follow on there. We're also on X, all those good platforms. So follow us. We promise we'll give you some good content. At least I think we do.
Or at least try to.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least make you think about it.
Yes.
And
so let me ask, because before we get to our final segment of the Omaha 8, is there anything this weekend that you see that sticks out in terms of games, like some that like, hey, if I'm new to college baseball and I've never watched before, what do I need to be watching? Except for Vanderbilt baseball.
Well, I wasn't going to say Vanderbilt specifically, but there's a tournament out in Arizona, the Major League Baseball Classic, played in 3 different stadiums. I think there's 6 teams involved in it. Yep. And you never know what you're going to see. But like Vanderbilt specifically, you're getting Grand Canyon, Nebraska from the Big Ten.
Watch out for Nebraska.
And the UC Irvine Anteaters, a team that's been to Omaha previously.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really good teams out there. That's going to be some good baseball to watch. And you don't even have to watch Vanderbilt specifically.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it worth it right there. But no, Randy, what series sticks out to you this weekend?
I don't know about series. I'm kind of with like the Shriners, the College Showcase Showdown. I mean, there's some ranked teams going at it. I think that's going to be one to watch out for. That the one that Chris was talking about too with the MLB, I think it's called like the Desert Invitational or something. Yep. Tennessee played in that thing last year or 2 years ago, ran into Grand Canyon. As it turned out, it did not go well for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So it might not go well for Vanderbilt. I think, Chris, you were sharing some stuff earlier. Y'all got a pretty rough start, or tough. I'm going to say tough start to the year. And if you want to watch the defending champs, I mean,
I don't know if anybody's got a harder first 8 games than Vanderbilt does. That's just brutal.
It's tough, but you'll know a lot more about your team.
Yeah.
Thankfully, some of our teams wait until a few weeks into the season before we schedule these crazy games like this, so we're good. That being said, I'm looking forward to when LSU and DBU play. That is a game that I'm very excited to see. I know it's a midweek thing, but it's still going to be a fun one to watch. So,
I agree.
That being said, let's get this Omaha 8 up here, because I think this is something, and correct me if I'm wrong on this thought, but I say each week, if there is a change, let's update our Omaha 8 if we see it a different way.
Because I know if you keep saying Omaha like that, I'm muting your mic.
What am I saying wrong?
Say it again.
Omaha.
Is that how they say it in Alabama? Chris, say Omaha.
Omaha.
It's Omaha.
Yeah, well, okay.
You're saying Omaha. It's not Omaha. It's Omaha.
I will never pronounce it that way. I can't.
Have you never listened to Peyton Manning?
That might be the reason why I say it Omaha.
Omaha. Okay. Anyways, do go ahead with your Omaha.
As a person that used a lot of the Omaha bats, I'm going to keep doing it. I will always pronounce it Omaha. I have to do it. But no, our Omaha, no, I can't do it. Sorry. Omaha 8. We agree on a lot of teams, as you can see. And these are, and like I put in the note at the bottom, these are no special order. I kind of just did a lot of it for uniformity. But yeah. I mean, realistically, Tennessee, A&M, LSU, Florida State, and Virginia, that's our consensus teams. Randy and I both have Oregon in ours. Chris and Randy both have Georgia in theirs. Chris and I both have Clemson in ours. And then my outside team was DBU. Randy's was Oregon State. Chris was Duke. Honest to God truth, every team on that list is solid this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Duke,
probably all.
See, there's another team I wanted to include, and I'm just trying to find a place. I think if Georgia Tech has got a team, once they get in the postseason,
they're good.
That could make a run.
Yeah.
They got some solid backs.
They do. And none of us have Arkansas in our Omaha 8. And I mean, let's be real. They tend to make Omaha pretty regularly. And I mean, if you're looking down the list, like two of us have Oregon in there, they're solid, but nobody on here has North Carolina. Duke they're solid. DBU's always a threat to get there, but I think the general consensus, I think the A&M, barring anything happening, they could be the most talented team from top to bottom. I'm talking about proven talent. Yeah, LSU probably does, but A&M, just the bats they return. I mean, my goodness, that team is good. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, LSU, Florida State, what they've been able to do to rebuild that program, like in a pretty short time frame. Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. But I mean, Clemson, I was back and forth with Clemson, and then I ended up going with Oregon. But I agree with y'all. And Virginia, I mean, hell, they're always there. They seem to always be in Omaha.
Yep, absolutely. I'm excited. I really am. I think that we're going to see a lot this year that shocks us, though. I really think that I wouldn't be surprised if there were at least 2 to 3 teams that we don't have listed that make Omaha this year because just the talent level.
I agree.
Well, boys, I think this has been a very good episode 1. I really do. I think this has been a good way for us to kind of really just dust the keyboard off. I mean, we haven't been live in a few weeks now. Right. And it's good to be back, talk some ball, and get this thing going. We're going to shoot for Tuesday nights as our night, but we're going to kind of play it by ear as well. Obviously, we'll share when we're going to do it in the chat and all that. But, yeah, we're going to keep it where it's about an hour show. We're not going to go anything crazy. We're not doing these 2+ hour shows anymore unless there are exceptions. If we just happen to get like some legendary interview and the guy's like, hey, I want to keep talking, I will listen. Mm-hmm. I will. But it has to be someone special, though. I will admit that.
Bullshit.
So, Chase Dolander, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on for 2.5 hours. Love to pick your ear.
Sure, you're not doing anything.
And we don't discriminate when we attempt to do interviews with players.
I mean, we don't discriminate in any way whatsoever, I would hope. But
if it's a head coach at a JUCO, I'm more than willing to bring them guys on because a lot of JUCO coaches and players end up being the next stars at the D1 level.
Absolutely.
JUCO kids are feral. Let's be real. When you compare them to D1, it's so much different. They have to really work, and I love every bit of it.
Oh, they're dogs.
They are.
Froze again.
I'm on internet.
Because he can't say it.
The rain in Alabama got tired.
My bad.
Yeah, you're back. The rain in Alabama got tired of you saying Omaha.
I think so. Well, boys, do you have any final thoughts before we close this sucker out?
No, man. Final thoughts from me. Thanks for having me on. Been a while since I've been on a podcast. So, it was good to, like you said, dust the keyboard back off, talk college baseball. I did see something on Facebook today in one of these groups. I think you guys are in it. It said that college baseball is not a major sport. Sir, I implore you to actually watch college baseball. I don't give a shit who your team is. Yeah. Just go to the stadium and watch college baseball. It is absolutely a major sport. Yes, I hear what you're saying. The revenue, there are a lot of teams that make money at it, R3 included. But is it the money that football is? No. But
it'll never
it's a
be.
completely different sport. So I'm just saying there's not 100,000 people in the stands and there's not, 85 people on the team, but just go give them a shot. Get to know the players. They're the most accessible group of D1 athletes you will ever come across in your life. So go watch college baseball and #grow the game.
Amen. What you got, Chris?
So for me, I'm just glad baseball starts this week. We've actually got to see some JUCO games already. A friend of our show, Coach Hamsley up at Roan State, they're 6-0.
There you go.
And last year was the first winning record they've had in over 20 years. So heading in the right direction. It's baseball season. If you don't mind, go like us on YouTube, the Golden Broom Podcast. Go follow our Twitter, the Golden Broom Podcast. Follow our Facebook page. Join the group College Baseball Smack. Hey, and last but not least, we're all accessible. If you have mental health problems and you need somebody to talk to, our inboxes are open. I think we're all willing to talk to you and point you in the right direction if you need some help.
For sure. Well, my closing thought is this: FYT. Simple as that. It's a free-for-all as we start this season this weekend. I'm very excited to see what's put out on the field. I mean, these guys have been working really hard in the offseason. We get 56 games at least with these guys. I'm ready for it to start. 2025 is going to be a special season. But we'll know more after this weekend. So that being said, this has been the Golden Broom Podcast. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you next week. And, hey, just watch the game. Grow the game. Do the thing. Come on.
On the diamond where they play, sweeping competition.